dinner time.
I just saw something in the bedroom.
Where was it?
Outside the window.
We are talking Carnivore, Werewolf of London. This comes to us on the 30th of July 2018. The man behind this, Simon Wells, who wrote and directed this, and he was the man also behind 2017's Night of the Damned, which was a low-budget kind of Game of Thrones style movie that also starred Ben Loyd-Holmes, who was also the male lead in this movie, and this one also stars Atlanta Johnson. They play a couple who go to a remote rural farmhouse to get away for the weekend, to have a romantic getaway away from the big smoke. And while they are in this kind of like very kind of pretty picturesque remote farmhouse, they are besieged by a vicious werewolf who is intent on chowing down on their young nubile flesh. What will happen? You'll have to watch the movie to find out. So let's discuss Carnivore, Werewolf of London. So I would say the comparison here, if you had to compare it to another kind of werewolf film, it's basically very similar to Dog Soldiers, but with civilians rather than soldiers. So it's kind of the farmhouse section of the Dog Soldiers movie, with our protagonists being two civilians rather than a group of kind of soldiers. So it's a similar kind of setup ultimately. But the story is a more a basic one. There's not as much kind of depth to it as Dog Soldiers, and not as much budget, shall we say. So the good stuff I would say with this movie, I think this movie is very well shot. I think the framing here is all excellent. I feel it looks like it's professionally made. The lighting is great. I think on the technical side, this movie, in regards to the kind of the cam work, the sound editing, and stuff like that, does a pretty good job of making it feel like a smooth, well-produced movie in regards to the kind of the technical side of stuff. The werewolf itself, people will have mixed opinions on. I actually quite liked it. It does look cheap, but this thing looks vicious. This werewolf looks like a proper bestial monster. It is a really kind of like exaggerated kind of creature. It is just a man in a suit. We'll come on to it again. But I've got to say, I really dug the kind of its kind of ferocious design. I think it's kind of a fun-looking werewolf. If you are a fan of B-movie horrors, and I stress the B-movie, you'll probably like this film because this is a pure B-movie at its heart. It's obviously a very low-budget film. There's one location, very few actors, a guy in a suit, and there's your movie pretty much. It does have some really kind of quite fun elements here and there. There is some nice little one-liners between our kind of couple that just seem kind of natural. In the middle of it, for example, these couple kind of like flee to the bathroom and they're kind of like in the bath and they start arguing and the girl just squirts in with the shower. I just thought it was a fun little moment. Stuff like that. So there's a few little kind of like interplays between the characters that are kind of quite fun and just seem kind of quite genuine in certain places. That I kind of quite liked. And when we get to the end of it, this movie really saves up its gore for the end kind of like 15 minutes or so. And there are some like some brutal gore shots towards the end of the movie. So what doesn't work with this movie? Let's talk about the title first of all. Werewolf of London. This movie is not in London. Don't know why it's called that? Well, I do. Let's be honest, this movie is called that to cash in on searches for American Werewolf in London. So don't be expecting London. It's out in the middle of, nowhere. There's like a scene at the end, basically, that takes place in a city, which I'm guessing we're assuming is London. But it's like a 2-minute scene, so, it's you can't really call your movie on that. So I object to the movie being called that, to be honest with you. It just seems like it's obviously just a cash-in of American Werewolf in London because of that. Also, I wonder, it was the decision to kind of cash in on American Werewolf in London was to make the lead character of the female lead American when the actress is clearly British, because she cannot carry an American accent. This is one of the worst attempts I've seen at doing an American accent, and it just goes and changes throughout the whole film, and it's awful. It's so distracting. It's hard to kind of judge this girl's acting because it's just swallowed up with this terrible accent. You know, and it makes her look like a really bad actress, I've got to say. Take that American accent away and it might be a different story, but it was a bad decision, and it's not natural sounding at all. I'd love to hear an American's opinion on what this accent sounds like. But anyway, it isn't good. I mean, Ben Loyd-Holmes he fares better because obviously he's not sounding like to do a stupid accent. But you know, let's be honest, he's not the best actor in the world. There are a few scenes here and there where I did like their natural kind of sounding interplay, so that was quite fun. But for the most part, the acting is going to be a little bit of a problem. The effects, I kind of quite like the werewolf effects, but they are cheap. It is just a man in a suit. And when we kind of see it close up, it's like that kind of like mottled hair that you'll get in like a gorilla suit from a joke shop. So it's kind of like, it's quite poor looking, especially I would say the body. I didn't mind so much the kind of the face and the snout. I think that looks alright. You know, we got to bear in mind we are watching a low budget B movie. So I think that the kind of maybe the head of it looks okay, but the body, it even looks like it's folding in places where obviously it's just worn like a suit, and the kind of like the padded out chest and stuff like that. And there's a horrible bit of green screen at the beginning. I mean, this film opens strong. I will say that there's a scene right at the beginning of the film where we see like a kid get killed, and it's like in the first few seconds of the movie. So I thought, woo, this movie is going to be brutal. But unfortunately, then we kind of have this rubbish in-car scene with some horrible green screen. But anyway. So when we come down to it as well, the plot is very simple, and it seems to just do a few things that are don't make a lot of sense. There's a few kind of little plot holes here and there. There's a scene where we have a guy turning on a stove to throw a lighter in to blow up. He says early on in the movie that he doesn't smoke, as does his girlfriend not smoke. Don't know where this lighter comes from, and I'm sure the stove is electric. It's just a flat surface, and that's an electric surface so it's things like this that just seem to be, oh, no one will notice. Shh, no one will notice. I notice. Anyway, so there's a few little dumb elements here and there. So it really kind of takes away maybe from this movie, and it makes it a real B movie. So in conclusion, I would say if you are a B movie fan, if you like cheap creature features, this movie does have an element of fun. It does have an element of fun. There are some kind of fun gore effects. The creature effects look cheesy. If you like the kind of the 50s like science fiction creature features, you'll probably appreciate this, I would say. I quite like the design, it just wasn't the budget there for it. Unfortunately, but I did still like elements of the creature, and I kind of like the fact that he has his literally glowing red eyes. I thought that was kind of quite fun, despite the fact that this creature can't seem to punch through a pane of glass. Anyway, I digress. So it's a real mixed bag, this film. It's not going to be. I feel if kind of like your people who only watch movies like The Conjuring, things like that, they're going to watch this film and they're going to think, oh, this is a cheap piece of crap. But if you are a fan of the low budget, bottom shelf, straight to DVD flicks, and you kind of like a big B movie, you like a cheapo B movie, and you can appreciate a movie just for a bit of fun, then you may get something out of this film, because I do feel it does offer that to that particular audience. And it kind of gets going, and it is a fairly well-paced film in regards to this kind of cat and mouse game between the wolf and an outside element as well, which we kind of won't go into, and this couple and stuff as well. So there is a fun element to it, but it's just a bit of a cheap quickie ultimately. So I'm going to give this one 5 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.